Who wants to think about the possibility of a disaster in their lives? Definitely not me. I don't want to think about a terrifying event that could strike quickly and without warning, a catastrophe that could force me to evacuate my neighborhood or maybe confine me to my home, where the basic services I depend on, like water, gas, and electricity, could be cut off. An emergency where local officials and relief workers might not be able to reach me and my family right away, where we might be on our own for 3 days or more. I'm Kathy Mooring. I live in the Bay Area, and I'm involved with the Together We Prepare campaign. Through my involvement, I've come to realize that having a basic plan and knowing what to do in an emergency will help me and my family to remain safer and might even save a life. I know now that it's absolutely crucial to think about dealing with a disaster and do something to prepare. The idea behind Together We Prepare is to create disaster-resistant communities. The goal is to make as many residents of the Bay Area as prepared as we can possibly be. When we say the word disaster, what are we actually talking about? To plan effectively, we need to think through how disasters could impact the reality of our daily lives. Let's look at some of the obstacles we could face in the aftermath. There's no getting around it. When you begin adding up the consequences of a disaster in your head, there are so many things beyond your control. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and anxious. I know I felt that way. That's why it's so important to focus on the very real and practical steps we can take for ourselves. If we've planned ahead, we'll be calmer and more capable of dealing with what we might have to face. So let's find out how we can create a plan and take some action.
Disaster planning is important for everyone, and each of us should have some basic training in what to do during and immediately after a disaster. And it all begins with having a plan. The start of that plan is talking with your family about the kinds of disasters that can happen. First, make sure everyone understands that disasters can occur anytime, day or night, and often without warning. And think about how much time you spend each day with your loved ones. When a disaster strikes, you may or may not be with other family members. You might be at home, at work, shopping, at the movies, or at the ballpark. Children may be in school, parents may be commuting or out for the evening. If you're separated from your family, you'll want to know that your loved ones are safe. This can make a world of difference in your ability to cope with what's ahead. And that's why you need to choose an out-of-town contact that all members of your family will call in case of a disaster. Someone who lives far enough away that they will be out of the affected area. Someone whom every member of the family will contact and communicate where they are and if they're okay. It's important to remember it may be easier to call out of the area if local phone lines are overloaded, or in the rare occasion if they're out of service. It's also important to keep your information updated. So a disaster occurs. Where do you go? Where would you find your family members? You don't want any guessing involved. That's why your identified meeting places before a disaster strikes is so critical. It's a part of the plan that will save time and minimize confusion in the chaos that follows the disaster. You and your family need to choose 2 places to meet after the disaster. First, decide on a spot right outside your home in case of a sudden emergency, such as a fire in your home. Second, in case you can't return home or are asked to evacuate, choose a spot outside your neighborhood. So what if you had to evacuate? This part of the plan calls for marking an evacuation route out of your local area. Practice driving your planned evacuation route and plot alternate routes on a map in case main roads are impassable or gridlocked. So, you've talked with your families, you've chosen places to meet, you've mapped evacuation routes, and you know you're supposed to have emergency supplies on hand in case of a disaster. Do you have what you need? Let's check in on some local residents.
Are you prepared for a disaster with emergency supplies? July 1987, August 1992, September 1983. You've now seen how not to be prepared. Here's what you really should have to be ready for a disaster. Water. You're going to need at least 1 gallon per person per day. That's at least 3 gallons per person. Food. Pack non-perishable, high-protein items. Include energy bars, ready-to-eat soup, and peanut butter. Select foods that require no refrigeration, no preparation or cooking, and little or no water. A flashlight with extra batteries is an absolute necessity. And speaking of batteries, you may be without power for days, so make sure you have extra batteries for all your portable devices. You'll also want a well-equipped first aid kit. Make sure you have a reference guide to go along with it. Medications. Remember to pack any prescription and non-prescription medications you may need. A battery-operated radio. If the power is out, you'll want to know what's happening in and beyond your neighborhood. Tools. Make sure you have the basics on hand. An adjustable wrench, manual can opener, screwdriver, hammer, pliers, knife, duct tape, plastic tarps, and garbage bags with ties, clothing. Make sure you provide a change of clothes for everyone. Include sturdy shoes and gloves. Remember eyeglasses or contact lenses and solutions. You'll want to make sure that copies of important papers, including identification cards, insurance policies, birth certificates, and passports, are readily accessible. If you have young children, pack up some toys and books. You'll want toilet paper, towelettes, feminine supplies, personal hygiene items, and bleach. ATMs and credit cards won't work if the power is out, so make sure you have some cash on hand. If you have pets, you'll need to think ahead for them too. Include food, water, a leash, a litter box, plastic bags, and any medications. Store your disaster supplies in a sturdy but easy-to-carry container. A large covered trash can, an overnight backpack, or a duffel bag will work. And finally, keep a smaller version of the kit in your car. If you become stranded or you're unable to return home, having this mini supply kit will tide you over until help arrives.
Knowing what to do during a disaster can mean the difference between safety and serious injury. Since earthquakes are the most likely and far-reaching disasters that could occur in the Bay Area, let's go over how you can protect yourself during and after the quake and the aftershocks. When an earthquake strikes, drop, cover, and hold on. If you're indoors, drop to the floor. Take cover under a piece of heavy furniture, cover your head, and hold onto the furniture with your other hand. The furniture may move when the ground is shaking. Move with it and remain covered. If you're outdoors, move into the open, away from buildings, streetlights, trees, utility wires. Once in the open, stay there until the shaking stops. Once you're safe, check yourself for injuries and then help others, giving first aid when appropriate. Do not move seriously injured persons unless you must, to remove them from immediate danger or further injury. Let's talk about fire. In case of fire in your home, get out. Leave your home as quickly and safely as possible. The less time you are exposed to toxic air, the safer you will be. If you're escaping through a closed door, feel the door with the back of your hand, the cracks around the door and the doorknob before opening the door. If it's cool and there is no smoke, open the door slowly. If you see smoke or fire beyond the door, close it and use another escape route. Close all doors behind you as you escape to delay the spread of the fire. Once you are out, stay out. Use a cell phone or send someone to a neighbor's house to call the fire department or from an outside phone. If smoke, heat, or flames block your exit routes, stay in the room with the door closed. Open the window for ventilation. Hang a sheet outside so firefighters can find you. If there's a phone in the room, call the fire department and tell them where you are. Firefighters are trained and equipped to enter burning buildings. If someone is still inside, direct the firefighters to where the person might be. Transportation, industrial accidents, and terrorism attacks all pose the possibility of chemical and airborne hazards. This type of disaster requires a special response called shelter in place, for which there are 3 simple steps. Shelter, shut, and listen. Your city may have an alerting and warning system comprised of sirens and/or a radio station designed to alert the public of an emergency or disaster. Your local fire department or Office of Emergency Services can provide you with further information. If you are instructed to shelter in place, 1. Shelter inside your home or nearby building, taking in your pets if time permits. 2. Shut all doors and windows and turn off the ventilation systems, including the fireplace vents. Lock your doors and windows to create the best seal. 3. Listen for updated information. Tune to your local news radio or television station. When a major disaster occurs, loved ones can be hurt and emergency responses can be delayed. Learning simple, life-saving skills can give you the ability and confidence to help yourself, a family member, neighbor, or colleagues. Make sure that at least one member of your household is trained in first aid and CPR.
We've given you a lot of information in this program. Let's take a few moments to go over the resources that are available, review what we've covered, and places to go for more information. You can start with a website. The Red Cross can offer you free Together We Prepare disaster preparedness group classes for your neighborhood, work site, PTA, school, and service clubs. The Red Cross also offers courses on first aid and CPR for children and adults. You can purchase emergency supplies and kits from the Red Cross or from other local merchants.
Many cities offer additional opportunities to learn more about disaster preparedness, such as Community Emergency Response Team training. Contact your local fire department or Office of Emergency Services for further information about opportunities in your community.
Over the course of this program, we've learned that disaster planning is important for everyone, that you need to have a plan, how everyone in your family needs to know what to do, where to go, and whom to contact when disaster strikes, that you have emergency supplies ready at hand, and that you need some basic training to make yourself and your family safer in the event of a disaster. Thank you for watching and taking the first steps in disaster preparedness. Together, we can prepare and create a disaster-resistant Bay Area.